Hello everyone, you've learned what compound arithmetic operators are, and I've prepared 5 simple exercises for you to practice using them. Let me say right away that for the next few lessons, probably around 5, we'll still be working with fairly simple tasks. That's because all the tools we're learning right now help us perform different calculations, but they don't yet allow us to analyze values themselves. In other words, we still can split the execution of the program into different sections of code depending on certain conditions. So until we get to the lesson about the if statement, the exercises will remain relatively simple. For several lessons in a row now, the structure has been basically the same. We create some data, ask the user to enter values, the user enters them, we perform some calculations, and then we print the result to the screen. And that's how almost every task will look for the next few lessons as well, until we reach the if statement. So if the exercises start to feel repetitive, or a little boring, just bear with them for a bit longer. And just like I've said before, I'll say it again now. Please try to solve these exercises on your own first. At least give them a try. If you manage to solve them, great. Then you can watch how I solve them. If you can't solve them, that's completely fine. Do as many as you can. For the ones you can't solve, watch the video, see how I approach them, and in the future, you'll be able to solve similar tasks on your own. Let's get started. Exercise 1. You're using an electronic wallet. It already contains a certain amount of money. The user enters the current balance, the amount to deposit. Add the deposit amount to the balance using plus a sign and print the new balance. Here, once again, I first ask the user to enter the required data. Even though the task doesn't specify the units of measurement, I specify them myself here. You can choose any other values if you want. It's not that important. Then the user enters those values here and here. After that, I use the addition assignment operator. So, for example, if the user enters 100 and then enters a deposit of 20, we add 20 to our original value of 100, and 100 is replaced with 120. When we print the balance, we now see 120. Let's run the program and take a look. Exercise 5. There is a water tank at a tourist camp. The user enters the amount of water in the tank, how many liters were used in the morning, and how many liters were used in the evening. Use minus assign operator twice to gradually decrease the amount of water in the tank. For now, it's good that the task description clearly tells you how many values you need to enter, but in the future I'll stop doing that, and the tasks will become more abstract so that you have to put more effort into figuring out the solution yourself. Anyway, we enter the amount of water, then we enter how much water was used in the morning and how much was used in the evening. After that, we gradually subtract both values from our variable using the subtraction assignment operator. We could write this as 2 separate statements, or we could do it in a single statement. For example, we could add water usage in morning and water usage in evening together and subtract the total from water amount. But I decided to do it this way. At the end, we print the amount of water that remains. I also want to remind you that for now, we always assume that the user enters valid data, values that won't break our program. Right now, for example, the user could enter a negative amount of water, or the amount of water used could be much greater than the amount of water that was available, and then we would end up with a negative value. We still don't know how to validate user input. Once we get to the if statement and loops, we'll learn how to handle situations like that. Let's run the program and take a look. Exercise 3. A factory produces a certain number of parts every day. After new equipment is installed, production increases several times. The user enters the initial number of parts produced per day and the production multiplier. Change the number of parts using this operator and print the new production amount. Here we have the same situation. We enter the number of parts produced per day, then enter a multiplier, and after that we multiply the number of parts by that multiplier. For example, if we enter 100 and the multiplier is 3, then 100 times 3 gives us 300, and this value is stored back in the parts per day variable. After that, we print it to the screen. Let's run the program and take a look. Exercise 4. A warehouse contains a certain number of identical boxes. They need to be distributed equally among several trucks. The user enters the number of boxes and the number of trucks. Use this operator to change the variable that stores the number of boxes so that it now stores the number of boxes for one truck. Use integer values for this task and assume that the boxes can always be divided evenly with no remainder. Here, we first ask the user to enter the number of boxes. We create a variable and the user enters the value. Then we do the same for the number of trucks. After that, we divide the number of boxes by the number of trucks. For example, if we have 100 boxes and 10 trucks, each truck should get 10 boxes. 100 divided by 10 gives us 10, and this value is written back into the boxes variable. Then we print it to the screen. Let's run the program and take a look. Exercise 5. An arcade machine stores a certain numeric value. The user enters several values one by one, and the program changes the stored value using different compound assignment operators. Ask the user to enter an initial value and then a number to add using this operator, a number to subtract using this operator, a multiplier for this, a divisor for this, and a number for this operator. After each operation, print the current value. This is a summary exercise where we need to use all the compound arithmetic operators we've learned. At the same time, it's quite simple and probably the most boring one of all. We enter an initial value and then we start applying different operations to it. First, we enter a number that we want to add it to our variable and print the result. Then we enter another number, subtract it, and print the result again. After that, we enter another number, multiply our variable by it, and print the result. Then we enter another number, divide our value by it, and print the result. Finally, we enter a number that we use with the modulo operator. So in this exercise, we use all the compound arithmetic operators and see how they work in practice. This can actually be a good training exercise to help you understand these operators better. If you didn't fully understand how they work from the theory lesson, this is probably one of the exercises you should definitely complete. Let's run the program and take a look. That's it for this lesson. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and write a comment below. You can also share how you solve these exercises. Maybe I made a mistake somewhere, and if you notice one, feel free to point it out in the comments. I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye everyone.